there's some quote out there about, because when I wrote my book, I was like, well, how long should it be? And I was like kind of researching
what do
that.
Do
do I need to say? Because I had a thing to say. And some people, and my book's not long.
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour read. If you're a decent reader, it's a 4-hour read. 8 hours. I think it's 8 hours on the audio book.
Okay.
I could be wrong because I did podcasts in between talking about the chapters. But as I was researching this, but I was researching it from a standpoint of how long does the book need to be for you to gather the information? How many words? What do you need? And there's nothing out there. There was an old author, and I don't remember his name or anything, but the quote was, your book needs to be, it was like basically exactly what it needs to be, and not a word more.
Not a word more.
He's like, and then it went on saying, if you can get your point across in 2 pages, your book is 2 pages.
You're done.
If it takes 200 pages, it takes 200 pages.
Bingo.
He said the problem with and this is old. I don't even know how old this was, but it was decades ago.
Yeah.
He said the problems with modern day authors is they're getting told that it needs to be this, it needs to be that, it needs to be this.
Bingo.
He's like, and what we're doing is we're inflating a bunch of bullshit that doesn't need to be there.
And school.
and school.
Right? It's got to be X amount of pages.
Right.
It's got to be X amount of words. It's got to be this long. So you get used to doing all this fluffy language and all this kind of stuff, which is garbage. It actually dilutes the power of your writing, and it screws you up going forward because you never ever write essays again. Yeah. You write ad copy, or you write an email, or you write it but you're not writing essays for the sake of writing essays. I mean, it's kind of a joke.
I'm trying to put a white paper on a subject. What would you call that?
Oh, that's a different deal. A research white paper though has a very specific format. Yeah. Right? It's got a very specific, and you're still trying to cut the fat on a research white paper. Yeah. There's no difference there. Okay. And same thing in a speech, right? And the purpose, we don't teach kids about the purpose of writing at all, right? It's write this essay because we're saying to write this essay, and you give us a bunch of horse shit, right? So the purpose of writing really is to learn how to think.
The whole thing is just, it really is it boils down to what I'm gathering is it's boiling down, instead of doing it to do it, you're changing everything to do it to think.
Bingo.
Everything
is learning to think, and it's learning to figure out what my gifts are and where I want to go with that, right? Educare, the root word, means to draw out. So we're drawing out the individuality. You want that self-awareness. You gain self-confidence too because you've actually tried some hard things, and you get exposure to a number of things because you're trying to solve problems in different arenas, and that usually either is okay, that was cool, I solved the problem, but I'm not super excited about that. We put together a city. We 3D printed some of it. We did Legos for some of it. We did cardboard for some of it, and we ran electricity to the whole thing, and we worked together to do that. Right? Cool.
Wild.
Right? So cool. That was awesome, and it was learned. And I either got really stoked by that and was like, "Ooh, this is freaking cool," and I want to go down a little bit more of a rabbit hole. Yeah. Or I was like, that was not my thing. Great. Cool to learn both sides.
See,
so then you don't focus on that anymore.
If I was a kid, I would have fell in love with all
that's
of that.
It. Yeah. That's it. So if you find out early what you're in love with, well, then the rest of your time should be spent becoming the freaking ninja at that.
And then you can help other kids that find themselves it as well.
Totally.
All right, so you get a kid. Have you guys done, is this all the way through 12?
Yeah.
I say
all the way through high school. All the way through high school age or whatever. Yes. Totally. Yeah. 100%.
Whatever that is.
Yep, for sure. Whatever that is. That's right.
So what does that look like at that end? What age is that? And
what age do you want it to be?
So are you got kids that are 16 going, I'm done.
Yep.
I've done what I needed to do.
All set. I know what the next step is. I'm ready to rock and roll.
For my life.
Time to rock and roll.
Can you tell me some stories about that?
I mean, as far as what they're doing?
Well, just what the end, what...
But that's it, right?
It's so hard.
Isn't that a weird thing?
I can't even explain.
Because what's the end of your learning cycle look like, right? So it's not
for that stage, for the teenager stage,
right? Because how
do you graduate your academy.
Yeah, you have to be ready. So there's a couple different ways to play the game. If we want to play,
I don't know how to ask the fucking question.
I know, because you start to see it for just the silly. It's just the game.
Yeah, right.
So there's a couple different ways to go, right? And so every academy will take a look at a little bit of different things depending on the state, depending on what the student wants to go into next.
Yeah.
So some will play the game of, okay, we need to have because they want to go on to a specific college that wants to see a traditional transcript of some sort.
Okay.
Right? So that happens. Okay, cool. So we can make a traditional transcript, and the whole idea is that you've got this menu, right? You take it like you and I are eating lunch from a place, and they have a whole menu of things, right?
Yeah.
And so the whole idea for our heroes is they've got a menu of things. They can't just sit and do nothing. They can't sit and do nothing, and then we just go, all right, cool, you're ready to go rock and roll. Like, we want them to get after some stuff, right? Go do some things. Try some projects. Read a certain amount of books. Launch some businesses. Have these conversations, but we've got a whole menu of things, and each one of those we have essentially a value that's assigned to it. So as long as you knock out enough points, essentially, you're ready to rock and roll. You may have really loaded all your points into one section of the menu because that became your thing. Mm-hmm. Cool. So that's where all your points are. We just translate that to a specific transcript if somebody needs to see it, and you're good to go. Or you've just earned enough points, and man, we're good. Sign up, like, here you go. What's the next? We're not worried about you checking our boxes.
Yeah.
We're worried about you figuring out how to continue to grow. What's next? Don't be the guy that comes out and I've quote unquote graduated, and now what? No. What's your next phase of growth? Are you going into the workforce? Are you going into an apprenticeship program? Do you want to go to college and you have a reason why and you want to, cool, we'll help you on what that is. And you figured that out at 17? Cool, we'll do it at 17. You figured that out at 18? Great. We're not going to have you, we're not going to have you there if you're 27, right? But that's the whole point, is figuring out where you want to go and then how do you get there to the next step. That's all it is. It's just the next phase. It's the same thing you and I do, because you're not going to be doing the exact same thing at 45 as you are at 41.
So my son decides at 16, he's like, no, I'm going to start my own business. Versus his brother goes, I want to go to college.
Great. Sounds good. And education's wildly personal, man. It's not a standard thing. That's the point. All education is self-education.
And then, so basically your guides or whoever's running the campus facilitates that growth.
How do I facilitate the growth so that they learn who they are and are equipped to go do what they want to do?